This is Paris' most expensive grocery store, a place where a single bag of pasta costs more than what most people spend on dinner, and where you can find a bottle of wine worth the price of a car. I'm French, I live in Paris, and I used to work at this grocery store, and let me tell you, I've literally seen people line up to pay for this stuff. So today I want to investigate and see why La Grande Épicerie became way more than just a grocery store. It is now both a status symbol for the ultra-wealthy and also a place that sets the standard for luxury food worldwide. Also, while I do enjoy making fun of expensive products, I have to admit that some of this stuff is actually worth it. Like, I actually went there and bought a bunch of stuff. So I'm also gonna show you what to actually get there if you're not in the tax bracket for $200 honey. But first, to understand why this place is so special, we have to start with the shopping experience. So we are in the very upscale 7th arrondissement, where a lot of famous rich people live very discreetly, including billionaire Bernard Arnault, who is one of the richest men in the world and the CEO of the LVMH Group, which owns a bunch of luxury brands like Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Le Bon Marché department store, which is where you'll also find La Grande Épicerie, which we're exploring today. So everything here is designed to make you feel like you're in a luxury store, not a supermarket, and that's completely intentional. A consultant that worked on the renovation project even said, and I quote, "The customers are wealthy and cosmopolitan, and they really care about the decor. They love doing their grocery shopping in a nice atmosphere, almost like they're at Dior." And I love this quote because it resets the stage of what I'm about to show you. Just know that this place is considered the temple of gourmet food in Paris. Normal people like me won't do their everyday shopping there like some celebrities do, but it's definitely worth a visit, even though you probably won't be able to afford everything they sell. And the reason for that reputation is that they have over 30,000 products sold, and they only sell the best. So many of the products are either made directly on site or only sold there, and I'll tell you exactly about how they are selected and which ones to buy. But first, let's go on a little tasting tour of the store. So here we started with our incredible bakery, where we had these really cute bunny pastries waiting for us, which are an Easter-themed pain au lait, which is milk bread with chocolate. While eating, I also learned that they have their own in-house bakery where they make everything fresh themselves, and that they sell around 600 baguettes a day, and that they bake them every 2 hours to always have them warm. And if you know anything about France, you know that we really care about having fresh bread, but here they also make all their fresh food in-house. So there's a secret underground floor where they have all their own kitchens and labs. And that's also probably where our next food was prepared. Here we have a porcini mushroom tart. So it's this type of mushroom that's definitely not cheap. And this one was absolutely delicious. And we were in their prepared food section, where you can buy pretty much anything that's ready-made. Next, we got to go to their charcuterie section, where we tried this delicious bresaola. It's some kind of delicious beef ham that's also pretty expensive. But seriously, nothing could compare to their luxury section, where they have some special occasion products like 225 euros smoked salmon or 450 euros truffle foie gras. But the craziest aisle has to be their caviar section, where, as you can expect, the prices are pretty insane, with the most expensive being a tiny tin for around 5,500 euros, which is almost the price of rent for my 2-bedroom apartment in Paris for 3 months. But luckily we didn't have to pay for any of that, because the store was having a free tasting of caviar. And also we got to try 2 different types of caviar, which was very delicious and very fun. And also the caviar man was not only super funny, but also an expert at his craft. Like, he told us about how caviar is made and the different types of caviar, and gave us tips on how to taste it. Alright, after we went to the cheese section, which is always my favorite. So here everything is delicious, but if you go, be careful with the prices, because they can get pretty high. There we got to try a Tome de Savoie, which is a very fresh cheese from the Alps region, and it was really so good, so we obviously had seconds and even thirds. Seriously, if I had all the money in the world, I will only shop at this cheese section. After, we went to their international food section, where you could try a bunch of different Mexican salsa as part of their guest product program. And this was my job when I was working there, and I'll tell you everything about this after the tour. Then we went to their pastry section, which, as you can expect, looks absolutely amazing. And we tried the macarons, which were homemade, which you can see with the irregular edges. Seriously, only eat macarons that look like this. They're way better than all the others, which are often industrially made. This one was a lemon and olive oil flavor, which was a pretty creative combination. Alright, now let's go to La Cave, which is their wine cellar. This is known to be one of the best in Paris. They have so many different wines, and we got to try their rosé wine and get a little explainer by their sommelier. So as I was telling you, the people who work here are not just regular salespeople, but they are highly skilled and expert at their crafts, which is really important because the clientele is extremely demanding. We will see why in a bit. Also, we got to see the 24,000 euro bottle of wine in the flesh. How cool is that? You can technically buy it if you have the funds for it, but it's obviously really protected and there's a lot of security around it. However, we did see people casually shopping for a 2,000 euro bottle of wine, so it's not that far out for some people. And you know what's crazy expensive for no reason? Roaming fees when you're traveling abroad. I once got charged 90 euros of roaming fees during a layover just for leaving my phone on. And that's why I really love using today's sponsor, Airalo. They've been a partner of the channel for a while now, and honestly, I'd recommend them even if they weren't. I've personally been using them for years, and they are my favorite travel hack to get data on my phone anywhere I am. With Airalo, you can buy affordable data plans through eSIMs in over 200 countries and regions. It's all digital, so you can install your eSIM before your trip and activate it when you arrive. And that's all. Now you've got data on your phone, and you don't need to go looking for a physical SIM card, which is very helpful when you need to look up which one of these luxurious foods is actually worth it. One thing I really like is that they've got regional plans too, which is so practical if you're going to be hopping around Europe, and this way you can stay spontaneous during your travels. If you want to try it, you can download the Airalo app using the link in the description, or scan the QR code and use my code Lucille3 to get $3 off your first eSIM. So how did this grocery store become so expensive? So remember that this store is attached to Le Bon Marché, which is a luxury department store. And if you've ever taken French 101, you might also remember that Bon Marché literally means cheap, which I have to admit is a bit ironic, but is exactly what the founders Marguerite and Aristide Boucicaut had in mind when they took over a small shop on the left bank in the 1850s and basically invented modern department stores in the process. Alright, so back then, shopping was not the most enjoyable experience. You had to haggle with a clerk about prices, nothing was clearly marked, and customer service was not a priority at all. And Marguerite and Aristide, they wanted to do things differently. And in doing so, they completely changed the way we shop today. They created a big open space where everything was displayed nicely to make you want to buy more, with a bunch of different products and clearly marked prices. They also had special sales, and you could return things if you didn't like them, which seems normal to us right now, but was not a thing at the time. Basically, they were not just selling products, they were selling the experience of shopping. And as you can probably guess, they were very successful with it. Originally, La Grande Épicerie was just the food section of Le Bon Marché, and it opened in 1923. It already focused on high-quality food that was not available anywhere else. For example, they had a lot of international products from Italy or the UK, which French people didn't know too much about at the time. This international section is still going strong today, and I love coming there for American products. Then things really started to take a turn towards luxury when LVMH bought them in the 1980s and came out with a big box. The store went through big renovations and became more upscale, and also started focusing on luxury items like fine wines, truffles, and overall high-quality gourmet food. And keep in mind that this is a smart business move because LVMH not only owns luxury clothing brands like Dior and Louis Vuitton, but also a bunch of champagnes and luxury wines, including our 24,000 euro bottle of wine. But just for fun, let's have a look at some of their craziest products. So we obviously had to find the 200 euro honey, and apparently it sells quite a lot because there was only one left. Then there's a whole fancy water section, which I understand nothing about because I'm a tap water person. It is very aesthetic though. And my favorite find here is this one, which is apparently sourced from the natural melting of a glacier located on a 5,000-year-old volcano in Iceland. That was a lot, and that explains the price, because this tiny bottle right here is €5.70. Then I found this 332 euro big bottle of olive oil, You know, if you really like salads, why not? But if you prefer your oil to look like a perfume, they also have that for you. And apparently olive oil is one of their best-selling categories along with truffle products. And obviously here you can buy all kinds of truffles, which are very expensive, but we will come back to this section because they have other products here that are actually worth it. Also, just know that they also sell normal products, like they have toilet papers and tissues at a normal price. But you know, as I was telling you, while I do love making fun of crazy products that are clearly not meant for people in my tax bracket, I actually believe that a lot of the products they sell are actually worth it. And before I show you which ones are my favorite, I need to tell you why. So, since the whole concept of this shop is to only sell the best products, it will come to no surprise to you that they are extremely selective with their suppliers. They have a whole team whose only job is to look for the best products, and these are mostly made artisanally and in small batches with quality ingredients, and of course they need them to look great and fit in with their vision for the store. Also, they will work directly with the suppliers and help them rework the recipe if needed. And they're really big on exclusivity, and they love having products that you cannot find anywhere else. And for suppliers, being sold here is actually a way of taking your business to the next level, because a lot of luxury food products are first discovered here before being sold in other gourmet luxury stores. And I even read in a newspaper article where an artisanal charcuterie maker says, being sold à la grande épicerie is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity you just can't miss. And I feel uniquely positioned to tell you exactly how brands managed to get into this shop, because when I was in college, one of my weekend student jobs was being a tasting girl for one of their guest products. So I was basically one of the people who gives you free samples and tells you about the product. Let me explain. So after the careful vetting process I was telling you about, any product that wants to be sold in the store gets tested on real customers for a few weeks to see if they actually like it. So this is why there are always so many things to taste at the Grande Épicerie. Like the caviar and the salsa were just there, they were not part of the official tour we did. So what I mean is that the product is double vetted, first by their buyers, then by the customers. And if people like it, they keep it. And what's cool is that the little drink I worked for in college is still there, so everything worked out for them in the end. Overall, I'd say that what sets this store apart is that they are excellent curators of delicious luxury food. And they have really met their audience. People who shop in this store really trust them and are excited to try the new products they have. When I was working there, people were so happy to try new products, and they always had so many questions for me, which, let me tell you, is not the case in a normal grocery store. People trust them so much that they launched their own brand in 2016, and it was a big hit. They have a whole dedicated team for their own brand, and their job is to find hidden gems from the best local artisanal producers. They have around 500 products under their own brand, and it's obviously still luxurious, but around 10 to 15% cheaper than the other brands. And that's why I love them so much, because one of my goals is to eat the best food possible while not spending a crazy amount of money. So if I had to wildly generalize, I'd say there's 3 types of people who shop there. First, rich Parisians who live in the neighborhood and do most of their shopping there because they only want the best. Then there's people like me who come here for a few ingredients here and there. And then there's visitors. This is not a touristy place though. Just to give you an idea, I've read that only 14% of shoppers are not French. Also, I have to admit that while this job was fun to people watch, it was really not the best for me, because since I absolutely love food, I used to spend all my breaks shopping in the store, which is not a good idea when you're making 15 euros an hour. I think I actually ended up spending more money than what I earned. So as you can see here, what's worth it in this store clearly depends on your budget and on how much disposable income you have, and also obviously on what you truly care about. So here are my personal favorites I actually spend my money on these days. So you could pretty much bring anything back home. Like, they will package it for you in a way that's safe for flying, but La Grande Épicerie is my favorite place for special little gifts that are not too expensive. In their candy aisle, there's a lot of good finds, especially from their own brand, but the one I always get is Caramel au beurre salé, which is salty butter caramel, which is a traditional candy from the region of Brittany. It is so good, and not a lot of people know about it outside of France. Then we have their biscuits. They always travel well. These are Palais Breton. They're made with a lot of butter, and that's why they're good. And I'm gonna try to not eat these and keep them as a gift for my parents. Then remember how I said we were gonna be back in their truffle aisle? So we're back, and here you could get truffle olive oil to bring back home. This is such a good one, but in my opinion, the truffle salt is where it's at. French salt is really delicious as well, and you can get big pieces of truffle from Périgord, which is a region in the south of of France where you can find a lot of truffles. And if you want something quick to snack on, their truffle chips are very good. These ones are from the brand from one of my favorite truffle restaurants. Also, La Grande Épicerie is the place to go if you care deeply about a specific product. For example, I am known to be a hardcore butter fan, and the butter aisle is always packed with other butter lovers like me. I want to try a new butter.
I'm trying to find the onion. I can't find it.
The onion one? Which ones are your favorite? We're trying to discover a new one.
The vanilla bourbon.
Vanilla bourbon. Okay.
Yeah, I have 4 of them.
Oh, no
Yeah.
way. So thanks to this lady, I got the vanilla bourbon butter from the Bordier brand, which is definitely a new thing for me because I usually get salty butter, but it was a good idea to trust her because this butter was so delicious on my pancakes. And if you prefer something more classic, you'll also find it there because they literally have all the butters you can think of. So that's all for me today. I'm gonna eat my little snacks. And if you enjoyed this video, I think you're also gonna enjoy one of the ones that are on screen right now. I'll see you there. Bye for now.